Something that drives me mad, and I warn you now, this is a bit of a rant video, is products that are made stupidly complicated in order to appeal to people and go, oh, we do things that other people don't do. Some devices should be simple and straightforward, and one of those things is a torch or a flashlight if you're one of our American friends. Now, I've been carrying one around for well over a year now that is frankly absurd, poorly designed and difficult to operate, and I've just bought and paid full price for a new one that does everything it should do but is simple, straightforward to operate and really well designed. So today I'm going to walk you through the two devices and show you why I prefer one of them. Hello, welcome to English Country Life. My name's Hugh, and together with my feathery minions and my poorly wife Fiona, I run a small holding here in rural Lincolnshire. And we are out in the sticks, frankly. We don't have lighting in the chicken enclosure, so when I come every night to shut the chickens up, I need a torch. When I'm poking around in the corner of one of the barns that's a bit dark and I'm trying to find a particular tool, I need a torch. If I walk to see Nick and Tor or Dave and Sue down that way, we don't have street lights, we don't have pavements, I'm walking on the road, I need a torch so that people can see me and I can see where I'm going and not stepping in the puddles in our enormous potholes. So torches are bound up in our life. And for a year I've been using one, and honestly it's frustrated me enormously. It's ludicrously complicated, it doesn't do what I want. Half the time when I come to use it, it's flat. And I'm going to run you through that torch and I'm going to show you all the things it does badly. And then I'm going to show you a new torch that I've bought and paid full price for that addresses almost all of those concerns. So let's get started. So what do I want from a torch? Well, I do want it to be bright, and I'm not against modern innovation, by the way, so let's put that to one side. I carry one of the most sophisticated mobile phones you can get. I can operate smart plugs, I can see our CCTV cameras, the doorbell can reach me wherever I am. You know, we've got all the sort of fancy features that we can have. Where technology makes a use, I'm in favour of it. But with torches, all I want from them is a few basic criteria. I want it to be super bright, so that if I'm looking for one of our chickens that's been locked out and I'm looking over half an acre of ground up trees, I can see them easily. I'm happy to have 2 or 3 light levels. So if I'm walking along the street, I don't want to be blinding passing cars, but I don't want to fall into a puddle either. I want to be able to carry it in my pocket safely and easily, so I don't want it to be enormous. And I also want to be able to sort of sort it out when it's flat, and I want to do that without having to leave it on a counter somewhere, because if I want it now, I want it now. In the old days when a battery was flat, you put new batteries in, you got on with your life, and I want that same sort of functionality with a modern torch. Again, not against rechargeables, but I don't want to have to mess about with the torch out of use. So let's review what I used to use and what I currently use and see how they stack up against those criteria. Here's my old torch then. It is an Olight Baton 3. It's tiny. Look at it next to my thumb. I mean, it's 54 grams in weight, less than 2 ounces for our American friends. In terms of length, it's just over 6 centimeters, 2.5 inches long. It's a tiny, tiny thing. It gives reasonable light output, and it's controlled by a side switch here. More on that later. But in its standard mode, it can give out 3 levels of light. And those levels of light, at the brightest level is 300 lumens, at the medium level is 60 lumens, and at the low level is 12 lumens. Now, this is where it gets weird. While it's switched off, if you press and hold down the side switch for a couple of seconds, it will give you access to another mode. Not just that you can cycle through the modes, you have to know this kind of combination of button presses. So when it's turned off, hold the button down for 2 seconds, and it will give you what's called moonlight mode, a very dim mode that's half a lumen or so, just enough that you don't fall over your own feet. I suspect that's intended for use if your battery's getting low and you need to get back to your tent when you're camping, etc. And when the light is on, if you double press the little switch, you can get turbo mode, which gives you 1200 lumens, a really good bright light. But the trouble is that the light gets very hot very quickly, and it'll only keep that turbo mode on for about a minute before it steps down to the 300 lumen mode. So that can be a problem. So you need to remember, for moonlight mode, you've got to turn it off and hold the button down. For the ordinary mode, you've got to hold the button down once it's turned on. And then for turbo mode, you've got to double click the button when it's already turned on. If you're having an emergency situation, you want to signal someone, turn the torch on and then triple click the button. Because when you're hemorrhaging, you're going to remember that, aren't you? Now, of course, I'm sure you've heard of all your friends who've been rescued by a flashy torch. You know, not by using their mobile phone to phone the emergency services, not by calling out for help, but by using something that flashes in the dark for that one person who's so far away they can't hear you call, that isn't available by mobile phone, but is looking in the right direction when you put your torch in flashy mode. It also has another function, which is if you hold the button down for a while, it will activate moonlight mode briefly and then turn off. And what that's done is it's disabled the button, so you think your torch is flat, but it isn't. In order to re-enable it, you have to hold the button down again for 2 seconds and then go through your different modes. Of course, if you don't remember that you've got to hold the button down, you just think your torch is flat. And that's my problem. Trying to keep all of these different functions in your head is a real nightmare with some of these modern torches. Let me show you some of the other things that I consider to be a problem. This torch holds a rechargeable battery, but it's supposed to be very easy to charge. It comes with this sort of magnetic charger, and as you can see, it attaches itself to the torch, and even an LED glows green to show you that this torch is fully recharged. It'll glow red if the torch isn't fully recharged. That seems on the face of it like a really useful thing, but there are some drawbacks. Let me show you. So here's the torch, surrounded by its natural habitat of the junk in my pockets of pen knives and lighters and coins and keys. If I take my keys out of my pocket to get in my car, oh look, it drags the torch out with it because it's got a magnet on the bottom for that charging system. And then a bit later, it falls off the keys and drops on the driveway, and I lose it for 3 days. That is really annoying. The other thing that's annoying, if I take the torch out, it'll usually bring a coin with it because the magnetic base picks up the coins, because a lot of our coins are steel. So I find coins all over the driveway, near the gates, near the doors, where my torch has dragged them out of the pocket. Really annoying, and a feature that doesn't need to be there. We've touched briefly then on this charging. So you need the magnetic charger to charge the battery. What do I do when my battery's flat? Well, obviously I can connect it up to the charger and then go and find another torch, because I still need a torch right now. But can you swap the batteries? Well, in theory, yes, but let me show you something. So let's tip out this battery, and the battery it takes is what's called a CR123 battery. They're fairly widely available, little fat stubby 3.7 volt batteries, and you need a bit more voltage to produce these kind of modern bright lights. But the thing that confuses me is that Olight have made theirs so that a normal CR123 battery won't work in the torch. So even if I bought another one and charged it elsewhere and put it in the torch, it doesn't work. So what I could do, of course, is go to Olight and buy an extra Olight 123A battery. Super! But how do I charge it? The only way I charge it is to put it in the torch and attach it to the charger. So even if I had a spare battery, in order to recharge a spare battery, I need to do that in the torch. So almost whatever option I work with this torch, when it goes flat, I have to put it on charge for a number of hours and go and find another torch. Another feature that really annoys me on this torch is the little on-off mode select switch. Why? Because it's actually quite vulnerable. It's raised, as you can see, and if it just sort of bangs against a key or a coin in my pocket, the torch is turned on. And I won't know about it until I come to take the torch out of my pocket and it's flat because it's been on in my pocket the whole time. It's just bad design for a torch intended to be carried in a pocket. This is the new torch then, and as you can see, it's a little bit bigger, to say the least, than the Olight. It is in fact between 14 and 15 centimetres long, and it weighs 82 grams, just under 3 ounces. So it's probably half as heavy again as the Baton 3. But it's still very light, very pocketable, sits in a trouser pocket or a coat pocket quite easily. For those who want to know, it's made by Nitecore and it's the MT2A Pro. Doesn't exactly drop off the tongue, but it's a cracking little torch. Let's have a look at the features. This is the end of the torch. It's how you turn it on. And I love it. It's a really positive click to turn the torch on and off. And it works really well. One click to turn it on, and a little dip to cycle through the 3 light levels. Another click to turn it off. And that's it. And that's all it needs. The brightest light is 1000 lumens. That's plenty, even for looking for chickens up trees. The mid-level is 300 lumens, which is bright as everything except the turbo on the Olight. And the lowest level is 50 lumens, and that's fine for just walking down the road and not stepping into any potholes. So simple to operate, not easy to accidentally turn on at all in the pocket. 3 decent light levels covering all the options that you're ever going to need. Now let's take a look at the battery, because that is different, and it was something I had a real problem with the previous torch I had. Well, let's look at this torch and what it does when the battery's flat. Back end unscrews and the battery tips out. And it is, I'm afraid to say, another non-standard battery. But it's different. Part of the thing that makes it so different is you can recharge the battery using a standard USB-C lead. So all you do, plug that into the battery. You'll get a little red light on the end that shows you it's charging, and it'll go green when it's charged. So your non-standard battery can be charged outside of the torch, which means you can buy a second one of them and have one charging on your kitchen counter while the other one's in, and just swap them over as needed. But there's something even better than that. If you haven't got a second battery and you need to run your torch, it will run very happily on standard AA batteries. You won't get the 1000 lumens that you get with a rechargeable battery, but you will get 500 lumens, which is more than enough for most tasks. And the ability to either have it run very bright using a rechargeable battery, or acceptably bright using really common batteries that can be either rechargeable or disposable, is a big plus for me. This is the Olight then, in its low, medium and high settings. And just for interest, turbo, and if you can see anything at all, that's the moonlight mode. This is the Nitecore in low, medium and high settings. Well, that's my thoughts on torches for country people and homesteaders. I'll put a link down below to the torch I bought. I paid full price for it. They don't even know I'm making this video, but I just thought it's great to find a bit of kit that does what it's supposed to do in a simple, straightforward, well-designed way. If you've enjoyed today's video, can you spare us 5 seconds? Give us a thumbs up down below. If there's other pieces of equipment that we use around the homestead that you'd like to know about, let us know in the comments. I'll make you a video on them. And if you want to see those videos and everything else we do, just tap on subscribe down there, hit the bell next to it, and you'll hear every time we upload a new video. But for today, thanks for watching. Come back and see us soon. Take care.